Yokoso, yokoso, yokoso! Welcome, 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 one and all. Welcome to another episode of the Stadia Monday Night Chat with me, your host, of course, Clive Illenden. Lovely to see all the people in the chat already. A big welcome to you, and we have another great show. Of course we do, for you this week, with major news dropping, significant events happening this week. Very excited. And so much, much more. All in the life of Stadia. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you say hi in the chat, as everybody seems to be doing, which is great. Let everyone know what you've been playing. Hit the likes, because I like it. YouTube likes it. And it helps people like you find content like this. And if you are new here, hello, konnichiwa, arigatou gozaimasu. Do me the great honor of whacking that subscribe button, toggling that notification bell, so you know when I go live with content like this, ladies and gentlemen, with content like this. A quick glance. Also, let me know what games you've been playing and all of that kind of stuff. A quick glance on the chat to say hello to everybody. Jerome, always a pleasure. I need a Pepsi. I feel like I just swallowed a razor blade. Anyway, Jerome, hello. Lovely to see you there. Caseball UK, Sednar, Christopher, Mustar S, Dave, Crow, Razine, Anna, your mama knows, Anthony, hello, how are you? Chris, Jerry, Andy, always a big week for Stadia, it seems, recently. We've had a couple of good weeks, haven't we, really, here and there. Cloud Gaming Dad, lovely to see you, of course. Liam and Choose Gaming. Hello to you all. Let me know what you've been playing in the chat as per usual. I've been out and about this week. Normally I have every 2 weekends. I have the sort of whole weekend to myself normally, but I realized I was becoming a bit of a, what's the word? Idiot. No, not an idiot. A recluse. I've become a bit recluse. And, you know, although it's great to have a whole weekend yourself just to play games and stuff, what with COVID and stuff, not really leaving the house much. So I've started doing little trips to London and stuff. So I've been out and about this weekend. So I've not been playing as much as I normally do. Although, of course, I did manage to play some more Red Dead Redemption 2. I know I'm late to the party. Very, very late. I am completely new to it, but boy, I'm getting sucked in. Yeah, I'm getting sucked into it. Goodbye Life. What a game. Absolutely lives up to all the hype and praise and positive criticism it's sort of had, the reviews and everything. Of course it does. Interestingly enough, though, on the gaming front, I'm sorry, but I have a confession to make. I'm sorry, Stadians, but it was a lapse in concentration. I'd maybe had a drink too many. These things happen. It was the moment, the situation, but I'm afraid I fired up the Xbox this week. Yeah, I know. Anyway, look, I thought I'd fire it up again. It was for the kids, more specifically. And I've got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to be honest with you. It didn't really go well. And it's just one of those things, you know, sometimes things don't well, but it kind of made me realize something. I had a kind of a spark of inspiration and realization about cloud gaming and everything. And it was this sort of unfortunate situation that occurred, and it happens, you know, it's not I hate Xbox thing. These things happen. So I fired up the Xbox. I hadn't fired it up in a while. Needed an update, right? I haven't even got to the gaming yet. Just the Xbox needed an update. So I updated. The scenario is, you know, my daughter's bored. So she says to my son, "Oh, I'm bored. I hate Battle Royale. What game can we play together? And he said, well, why don't we play Call of Duty? And I was like, oh, great. It's great to see my kids bonding. I went, oh, right, this is brilliant. Playing Battle Royales together will be great for them. I said, yeah, no, I'll sort it all out for you. Yeah, Xbox needed updating. Kids, I could see the kids' mind wandering. So updated that. 30 minutes later, okay, that's fine. 30 minutes later, oh, wrong button there. There you can see, Call of Duty Warzone. Oh yeah, 72 gigs. Completes in about 3 hours, 6 minutes. Right, yeah, because the kids are going to hang around for that long. I mean, if it's not instant, if it's not 5 minutes. Ah, konbanwa, Yoshida, yokoso, yokoso. You know, if it's not 5 minutes, they're bored. So then I thought, well, they went off, and I thought, well, all right, you know, I saw Cloud Gaming Vet playing a bit of Sea of Thieves. I thought, you know, now I've got the Xbox fired up, I fancy a bit of Sea of Thieves. Oh no, Sea of Thieves needs updating. And by this time, it's like a couple of hours. The kids have all gone off somewhere now. They're bored out their home, out their minds. The moment's passed, an opportunity of bonding's passed, and all that. A spontaneous opportunity for my kids to bond, lost and everything. It's just an unfortunate situation. But I realise now how spoiled I've been. Because I love the Xbox. I used to play it all the time. But how spoiled I've been by the instant ease and of access to Stadia. You know. And straight up, you know, I just thought, bugger this for a game of soldiers. Went to Stadia, hit free trial on PGA, and within 30 seconds, I'm playing. Now, I get it. If you play Xbox regularly, of course, it'll be updated. And yes, my Xbox used to crash sporadically, but that happens, and you just accept it, of course. And downloads and updates, yeah, sure. If I'd planned, you know, ahead, or planned it, you know, overnight to download the big new games and stuff like that, all great, right? But now, what it made me realize is going back to that after the sort of the ease of access of Stadia is, oh, I'm bored. What shall I play? Click, click. Or, you know, I'll buy a new game. Literally buy it, play it instantly. It seems a chore now. And as I say, what the Xbox crashing as well, it's just unfortunate, but it just compounded my frustration in that single moment. And as I say, so I just fired up Stadia, hit free trial on the golf, PGA 21 golf. Boom. 30 seconds. I'm hitting the greens. Yeah, now I get it. Of course, I get this was just my personal experience. It's a terrible experience in that particular single moment. And I recognize this is not the experience of everyone, and it's not the common experience. I realize this, you know, for all people playing Xbox, of course, I realize this because I'm clever like that. And I would never frame that situation as being the universal experience of Xbox. I would never use that single momentarily frustrating experience to come out and say, Xbox is rubbish. It will never be popular because you have to constantly wait for updates and it crashes on you all the time. As if, you know, as it did for me. As I know that is not the common experience, okay? Downloads and updates aside. I would never couch that experience in such a way to suggest that my experience in that moment with Xbox and frustration in that single moment is representative of how the platform performs for everybody else. And thus, in a single sweeping statement, somehow invalidate everybody else's enjoyment of that platform. I would never do that. Because to pass off your personal single experience with one platform as the general experience everyone else will have, especially if you're a journalist who knows it's not in line with the general experience, would of course make you, what's that word? What is that word? An idiot. So I think I might have mentioned that last week, just in passing, you know, just in passing. Through the use of comedy and frivolity, that's all I'm saying. But just for those at the back of the class, I just want to be clear. That's all. Anyway, nonsense aside, what that experience did make me realize, for all the joking and being sarky there, what it did make me realize is that for all the sort of the big games and the exciting tech and all of that, and, you know, all those things, what really appeals to my lifestyle when it comes to gaming is that ease of access, that instant click and play, no downloads, no updates. Now, of course, I've known this all the time, but it was just in that moment encapsulated it for me, that seamless experience. Until you've experienced it, you know, like many of us have, you know, when we play Stadia or Luna, whatever it is, until you started it, you know, to get to that stage where we do now, we just take it for granted that you're just going to buy a game, play it instantly, 30 seconds, you're in the game. You don't really appreciate how appealing cloud gaming is to the casual gamer. You see it on Reddit all the time and on Twitter, you know, like, I'm a busy dad or I'm a busy mum, whatever, and it's perfect for me to just drop into a game and then I get kicked off the TV, but that's okay. I can go upstairs and play on my phone, or I'm waiting for, you know, pick up my daughter from somewhere, whatever, from soccer practice or whatever it is. And, you know, I can sit in the car and I'm playing, you know, Stadia, and then go into the house and go onto my PC, carry on. It's just that ease. And for me, that's the real win of cloud gaming. It's making that experience as seamless and smooth as possible, as with Stadia, or how I understand Luna is for our US cousins. Just a caveat here, since we don't have Luna in the UK, I do not feel in any way qualified to talk about the experience. Just putting it out there. And will merely go by the general good experience I have heard people have had with Luna. Anyway, but as with Stadia and Luna, enabled to be able to click on your app on your TV, pick up a controller, pick a game, play, no updates, all of that, as easily, and this is the key thing, as easily as you pick and play a movie on Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus. It's that ease is the biggest selling point, I think, of cloud gaming. Forget all the tech and all that. Obviously, you need the tech to work. But in its simplicity, it's that. It's that seamless, low barrier of entry. And when the delivery of that gaming experience is of the right quality, as we see with Stadia and Luna, as I'm told, for me, a casual gamer with limited time, like with many things in life, the sheer convenience and choice, that is the biggest appeal to me. Great tech just works and appeals when it's seamless and smooth. And yeah, I know xCloud will have a smart TV app, maybe, one day. Phil Spencer says they're looking into it, you know, i.e., you know, it's not coming out, I don't know, Wednesday, but sometime in the future, you know, later, sometime. Look, I'm joking. Of course, I love Xbox. I know that. But right now, just playing on a console with its uploads and updates and stuff like it's sort of lost its appeal for me a little bit. Because just for me, you know, because that's how I've had that taste of click and play and that experience. I can't go back. I'm getting an experience that is as good as, if not better than, my Xbox experience. So I'm not talking Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X. I'm talking my Xbox experience, okay? As the majority of console players, don't forget, have Xboxes or PlayStation 4s. They don't have Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5s, you know? The majority of console players have those. And Stadia is good as, if not better, than that experience. I'm getting a better experience than that in general, but with instant access. And for a casual gamer, that's fine. I want that click and play on the screens you already own. As I say, Luna's not in the UK yet. Stadia is. Gives me 4K, a console-like experience without the downloads on my TV or PC or my phone. I get that, gamers, you know, gamers want different experiences, and that's fine. Some people like to game on the consoles, the latest consoles, and will invest $500 or whatever in the latest, you know, gen. Nerdy PC Master Race types love tinkering with their settings, you know, and waggling their big ass graphics cards for all to see. Look at my big graphics card. And that's cool. You know, that's cool. Everybody's gaming experience is different. Game in your own way, whatever suits you. Yeah, that's cool. But do not underestimate the appeal of a near 200 game plus library growing. Click an instant play with no downloads or updates on the screens that you already own. And the tech that delivers all that is right here, right now. That is a massive appeal for many. And it's what ropes in the next billion gamers, the casual gamers, which is, you know, why it is probably Stadia's marketing message. Quelle surprise. Click and play. No downloads. No updates. Play on the devices you already own. Quelle surprise, as I say. Who knew? So maybe for some types of gamers, you know, for that very reason, Stadia is not aimed at them. And that's okay. Maybe it isn't. But don't dismiss the mass appeal of that for other gamers and wannabe gamers. Casual gaming is a big thing in our busy lives. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, mini rant. As I say, right people, to the newsmobile, my friends, to the newsmobile. Now, talking of ease of access, who is looking forward to the arrival of the Stadia-specific app on the Chromecast with Google TV and other Android TVs and devices are near you? Yes, the much-anticipated app and long-awaited app as well arrives this Wednesday, as Stadia said it would be, within the first 6 months of the year. I broke down here originally. Q read it all about 1 minute past midnight on Wednesday going, where is it? Where is it? Oh, hey, Nico Nick. Thanks for the subscription. Oh, my God, Stadia, what's up to you? It's 1 minute past midnight on Wednesday morning. Where's my app? Where is it? 1 minute past Twitter. Where is it? Right? Chill, people, chill. But as it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, as it turns up, I hate Stadia, blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, the app is already available. So if you've got a Chromecast Ultra, have I got it here? Bear with me. I think I've got a picture. Nope. I don't. Oh, actually, I do have a picture because I tweeted it. Here we are. Oh, well, no, we'll use Stadia Revs. Here we go. He won't mind. I tweeted a picture as well, but I'll use Stadia Revs. Let's go plain news. Let's go back here. Oh, so if you've already got a Chromecast with Google TV, you can download the app now and do what Stadia Rev did and I've done, and move the app to the front of your list. That's what I did. Yeah, move it to the front of your app list there, and you're good to go. It's all ready. You can't play it. It says coming soon. Once you can download it and do all that kind of stuff. It's got a nice shiny logo to it. I did film it. Well, I thought I'd filmed it and I hadn't. It's got a nice sort of almost metallic. The logo's almost got a metallic 3D shine to it. It's very good. Anyway, but not quite working yet, but you can download it, ready. Hopefully it'll all be fired up on Wednesday. But I guess what I would say, Reddit people, Twitter people, be patient. Yeah, just be patient. Yeah, it will appear in the app section. So it has appeared in the app section, which is good. But you know how these things are. They tend to sort of get rolled out over time, so throughout the day. So, you know, I did think we might be lucky and see glimpses of it earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if some people have it working earlier. You know, this is often the way before it's sort of its official launch. We sometimes see these sort of updates and glimpses a bit earlier. But all I'd say is be cool, be patient. If, you know, if it's not instantly working for you 1 minute past midnight. Anyway, let me know in the chat whether you have a Chromecast with Google TV or one of the other compatible devices, NVIDIA Shields or those sort of things, or even the new thing from Walmart, the On, I think it was called, isn't it? The On, if you've got any of those. I bought my Ethernet connection for Chromecast with Google TV a couple of months ago because I knew it was imminent. And I didn't want to be in that situation where they announced it and then I went straight to the Google store to get the Ethernet connection plug and they were sold out. So I bought that a few months ago in anticipation. It is available separately on the Google store. So if you want to be able to connect the Ethernet directly with it, you need a different plug and you can plug your Ethernet into it. Anyway, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Kelev says, does the cast gameplay? It doesn't cast it, no. It plays it directly through the app in the same way Netflix does and stuff like that. If that's what you mean. Anyway, so E3 week, sort of a couple of weeks, isn't it? It's sort of a gaming week, but the E3 section all wrapped up. And there were plenty of notable absences from E3, like, I don't know, EA or Sony. But there were also loads of announcements in and around E3. So to me, effectively, you know, it's more a sort of a general gaming week news. So those sort of couple of weeks are when the gaming companies get their announcements out. Some of them are directly at E3. Some of them are just before, as we saw with Stadia and stuff like that. And some of them are just afterwards, as we saw with EA. And EA have got their own thing coming up. Sony have got their own thing coming up. And there was an interesting piece in the industry blog that backs this up. So in games industry biz, which I've talked about before here. So for those that don't know, games industry biz is an industry magazine. So it's aimed specifically, it's not aimed at consumers, it's aimed specifically at the gaming industry, people who work in the industry. It's, you know, one of those trade mags, as they say. But here, an interesting article, an opinion article by Rob Farhay here. E3 is no longer a clear lens on the industry. Opinion. That's nice. A few more articles I've read, I wish they'd say opinion, you know, just to clarify things. Anyway, his view is that back in the day, to summarize this, back in the day, you know, because you had to get stock out to the shops because you were selling, you know, physical products, physical discs or cartridges or whatever it was. E3 was the moment that you put all your marketing money into it to sell everything that was going to be coming out in the holiday season, you know, at the end of the year, from sort of November, December onwards. And so it was the big showcase for everything throughout the year. That was back in the day. It's not anymore, and it hasn't been for a few years. And his theory is that there's some stuff that's been held back for other announcements later in the year from different companies. And we've seen, you know, EA are making some announcements later in July, I think. Sony are going to probably do some announcements throughout the year. And what with digital delivery and stuff like that, it's less important to sort of gear everything up into one and try and encapsulate it into one moment. So that's what it's really about. It's saying it's no longer, it says E3 was also, however, notably incomplete. It was incomplete in some very obvious ways, of course. The absences of Sony, EA, and Activision Blizzard were very noticeable. And as the event wraps up, there's definitely a sense that we're all now waiting for the shoe to drop. EA is hosting its own online event in July. Sony no doubt has plans for summer as well. So it's not quite, the big moment for the whole industry that it used to be. That's sort of my point, really. Now, sure, Xbox made sure that they owned it. Yeah, they made sure, they wanted to show off what $7 billion is going to get you. And boy, did they do a great job. They made a conscious decision to be a major part of E3, if anything, to take over E3 to a certain degree, which I think is great. And it was an awesome showcase, in my opinion, of what $7 billion gets you. And, they certainly put their money where their mouth is, really, on that. But what I would say is you can't use the fact that Xbox were at E3 as a sort of a benchmark for everybody else when there's no EA, there's no Activision, there's no Sony. You just can't apply what Xbox did in that moment that somehow, oh yeah, that applies to all publishers and all platforms, and they've all got to do like that. And if they don't, they've messed up E3. It's ridiculous to think like that. As this article is pointing out, no EA, no Sony, no Activision, no Take-Two. I mean, Take-Two were there, but not to announce any games. So I'm just saying, a great show by Xbox, absolutely undeniable, but it's not, E3 is not the big thing. I'm just saying. However, in terms of announcements that preceded E3, and announcements that came just post E3, if you look at sort of it as a gaming couple of weeks, those 2 weeks running up to E3 and after E3, when you look at it like that, the next, the round of news that we got, it's been an pretty interesting couple of weeks for Stadia when you look at that. You start off just before E3 with an official announcement from Stadia about the launch date for their much anticipated Stadia app for the Chromecast with Google TV, right? You get a shed load of games from Ubisoft, including Rainbow Six Siege Extraction, plus Square Enix. You get Life is Strange 1 and 2 announced as coming as pro titles in September. This is all during the same period, yeah? You get a showcase. It was a showcase for Sky Climbers, I think, yesterday or a couple of days ago. You've just had a massive announcement from EA. So hardly a drought, as I saw in some blog headline. Yeah, apparently Stadia had a drought at E3. But if you look at sort of a gaming announcement couple of weeks leading up to E3 and after E3 and that whole kind of those 2 week period, hardly a drought. A drought would be no games. And I'd probably say it was a bit more than a drizzle. Was it a hailstorm? Oh, I see what you did there. No, it wasn't a hailstorm. But it ain't a drought. Yeah, I think that's a bad analogy. And I can only put that bad analogy down to 2 things, ladies and gentlemen. 2 things. Your understanding of the meaning of drought, the definition of drought, is not clear. But you are a journalist, so I assume you have a dictionary at hand. So that leads me to the conclusion. The headline is perhaps overtly negative in a clickbaity way. What? Really? Anyway, never mind. I would hardly call the sort of E3 gaming week period a drought for Stadia when you start factoring in all the news that we've had, as I say, just before E3, leading into E3 with Ubisoft, Square Enix, coming out of E3 with some other game announcements, the dinosaur game I talked about, Sky Climbers, and then of course, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Madden 23. Why don't we just go to the store there? Madden 23, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Madden 22 is announced. Let's go to the store. There we go. It's in there, ladies and gentlemen. Madden 22 announced coming day and date to Stadia, as many had anticipated / hoped. I've said this for a while, that I absolutely, totally anticipate that Madden 22 and FIFA 22 were going to arrive day and date. I've absolutely been convinced that since Madden 21 and FIFA 21 were announced. Absolutely. It just made sense to me what they were doing. And in the case of Madden 22, it's now officially confirmed. Oh, Pepsi went up my nose then. Confirmed by EA and literally just dropped available on the Stadia store right now, right here, which is pretty impressive. So that's a pretty, for me, it's confirmation of what I thought would happen, but it's great to get that constant confirmation of the sort of the assumptions that I'm making. And I often sort of the things I announce on this show. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, another AAA game coming to Stadia. Is it worth playing there? Let's have that in the background while we I'm going to show a bit of video footage, you know. The weird thing, though, and I've seen this mentioned a little bit before in different places. The weird thing is, it wasn't mentioned on the Stadia blog post as far as I could see. It's a bit weird, really. Here we are. Let's have that playing in the background. There we go. I can only assume that they're sort of saving it a little bit, maybe for this week. You know, saving the announcement for some reason. I've seen some people opine that it's weird they didn't do a post during E3, like an E3 summary post, which is fair enough. But in fairness to Stadia's social media channel, they've been knocking it out the park. They were tweeting out constantly every time a Stadia title was mentioned by Ubisoft or Square Enix. They were like straight on there post E3 going, oh, yeah, this game's coming. Oh, this game's coming, even today. So maybe they want to save the blog post for an announcement, an official announcement of FIFA as well. I don't know. Could be tomorrow. But anyway, boom, announced by the publisher, dropped straight into the Stadia store without a word mentioned from Stadia itself. Oh, we can keep playing that. Anyway, as I've said on numerous occasions on this channel, FIFA 21 and Madden 21 were playing catch-up last year. They were porting the game as Stadia came on board much later in the development cycle of those games. So they were never going to come day and date, and I think we knew that. But now they've mastered the sort of porting from the Frostbite engine. We see the seeds of that initial work bear fruit with Madden 22 and, most likely, FIFA 22, although yet to be announced. I also now am totally convinced, and I have been since January, that these are definitely the 4th and 5th games in that initial EA announcement that Phil Harrison made back in the Connect in, I think, April 2020. And yes, while we all sort of had fun trying to guess the other EA titles, to me, it was clear, where it has been, you know, that FIFA 21 and Madden 21. Well, it's been clear to me that they did those deals, FIFA 22 and Madden 22 deals at the same time. That was the bundle, in order to get FIFA 22 and Madden 22 day and date on Stadia, which is what you want. And what I've always said about that cycle, once we get into the development cycle and Stadia are part of that development cycle, that's the key thing. It's old Amnar. Always good to see Amnar in the chat there. Now, that's not to say there are other, you know, there are not other titles from EA, and it's limited to 5. I get the impression that initial title was just for 5 titles. So you've got to pick those titles carefully. Jedi Fallen, one of the biggest games, single-player campaign game, perfect. Your 2 biggest returning franchises, FIFA and Madden. Yeah, we'll have them, please. But I can already hear people saying, well, why not Battlefield, Clive? I'll be honest with you. I've never thought Battlefield would be coming to Stadia yet. It's the wrong... It's what it to me, although it's a massive AAA game, it sort of sits apart. A bit like Call of Duty, a bit like Fortnite, the free versions. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it would be absolutely redonkulous and awesome if games like Battlefield and Fortnite to a certain degree, not necessarily for me, but if they came to the platform, it'd be absolutely. But they are more like games as a service, yeah? They are extensively multiplayer. So without cross-play, that experience is not going to be that good for you on Stadia. For the big publishers, I would say currently there is less appeal right now for Stadia to bring a Battlefield or Fortnite type game to Stadia platform yet. And yes, I know we have PUBG, but that crucially has cross-play in it and works a treat because of it. That's what makes it so good. You're always going to get a game. FIFA and Madden are cash cows. Yeah, are cash cows, especially in terms of copies actually bought. Copies of the game. And I know there's like loot boxes and all that kind of stuff, but you know, they're actual big game sellers. The game sells in hundreds of thousands. So you can see why they're on there. Jedi is a single player experience, perfect for Stadia. So I think this approach will change over time as multiplayer games become more widespread, you know, cross-play. As is the ambition of EA, as I've said millions of times on this channel, and Ubisoft, they've made those same announcements. So hopefully further deals have been done with EA. In fact, if you remember back, way back in about June or July 2019, so before Stadia launched, when they had one of their sort of Stadia Connects, EA was one of the publishers on that big list behind Phil Harrison at the time. So those deals were being done or were done a long time in advance. And yet the real fruits of those deals we're only just seeing this year with a massive franchise coming day and date with EA. I get a sense that EA is strongly looking at that channel model. You know, they're playing it a bit out with the deal they've done with Xbox and stuff, Games Pass. But I think it's a model that I imagine it's a model. Yeah, I'm making a big assumption, but I get a sense it's a model that they're looking at in the, you know, looking at what Ubisoft Plus is doing, especially with, you know, Luna and Stadia. And it's something they've hinted at. But as we've seen with Ubisoft, it's taken them nearly 2 years to sort of get enough of the back catalogue ready. And I think Ubisoft were much further ahead of the curve on this in terms of their relationship with Stadia. But I can see other publishers like EA doing this very soon. And it's fairly straightforward to add new titles as and when they're released. It's just a bit harder to play catch up with some of the back catalogue on the older titles until that porting process is, you know, refined and as simple as possible. And we're seeing that more and more as each big new publisher launches titles on Stadia, whether Square Enix, Sega, Ubisoft, Take-Two, EA, Capcom, etc. We've seen some absolute stellar ports of games like, you know, Division 2, Doom Eternal, I nearly forgot, but Division 2, Resident Evil from Capcom, Judgment from Sega, and of course FIFA and Madden from EA, FIFA 21 and Madden 21 from EA. Brilliant ports. So not only have we confirmation of one of the biggest franchises arriving on Stadia, and it's coming day and date. I mean, that's just massive. And it's everything I and many others in the community have said about Stadia concentrating on bringing the games, making sure they get those key AAA releases, starting with Hitman 3 in January. Little Nightmares 2, okay, I'll give you it. It's not a AAA, it's a AA, let's say. Yeah, like a battery. A AA, yeah? But great port. Outriders. Not such a great port, but the game itself had issues. So was it the port? Was it the game? But day and date, Outriders, big triple anticipated, whether it was good or not, it doesn't really matter. Anticipated AAA game, day and date. Resident Evil Village, the next big AAA come along, day and date. And now Madden 21, day and date. Life is Strange, True Colors. Okay. AA, maybe not AAA, but all day and date. Let alone all the smaller titles released to date, and that we know there's still so much more to come. Let alone the Stadia app enhancements and the rollout of Android TV / Chromecast with Google TV, etc. this week, happening on Wednesday. And, ladies and gentlemen, and the Google 2021 Games Development Summit is scheduled for next month. Yes. And that looks very interesting as well. In fact, yeah, so I shall be using 9 to 5, despite their slightly negative E3 was a drought for Stadia headline. But that article was by Ben. This article is by Abner. So shout out to 9 to 5 and Abner on this one. Google for Games. Let's just go there. Google for Games Developer Summit announced here. So we knew this was coming, but this is some more detail, flesh to the bone, as it were. Now, don't go thinking, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too excited. I know what you lot are like. I know what you're like. Well, calm down. This is not about massive game announcements. Whoa, Reddit. Calm down, Reddit. Twitter, calm down. It's not aimed at the general public. It's not about big game announcements. It's not a Connect or anything like that. This is aimed at developers and publishers, etc., who want to learn about developing for Google, whether it's for, Google phones, Stadia, whatever. Okay, it's not about big public statements to the consumers. Okay, I know what you people are like, ladies and gentlemen. I know what you people are like. So simmer down. Twitter, take a chill pill. Reddit, calm down. Right. Now, while this summit covers all things, as I say, like phone games and stuff like that, there is also plenty of Stadia stuff on here as well. So there's a sort of a day dedicated to Stadia. And it's specifically here with the business development leads. So come here, the latest and greatest from one of the Stadia business development leads. You'll learn about new offerings for all the Stadia partners, interesting new offerings, and how the Stadia team is working to make it easier to bring games to the platform. So we've talked about that before. We've talked about them hiring engineers and stuff like that, about working on the development tools, working more closely with publishers and developers to port the games, making that process as easy as possible. And this is what this summit is talking directly about, making it easy to bring games to platform while delivering new ways to maximize the return on your launching Stadia titles. New ways. Could it be a pro exclusive? Could you sell it as well? Because you can do both. That's the beauty of the Stadia business model, as they talked about last year. There'll be 2 other sessions here focused on game publishers. Learn from the Stadia product managers about how we're making it more efficient. This is the key thing here. More efficient to bring games to Stadia. It has to be worthwhile for the publisher or developer because it costs time and money. Even if Stadia throw money at them, they still want to make a profit on top. They're not just doing it out to keep them employed and out of the love of it. So the more efficient you can make that, yeah, more efficient to bring games to Stadia with significant investments in cloud native tooling. So we've talked about that as well. We've talked about how Stadia are working on game development tools in the cloud. an automated certification process, as well as third-party engine improvements. So, you know, we know how Unreal supports Stadia. We know how lots of the other engines support Stadia. Bringing new value to Stadia partners. Brand new incentives. Different types of business models and business deals. But this is interesting. Brand new incentives are coming to Stadia, and they empower developers to drive their success in awesome ways. Come learn how to make the most out of publishing your game on Stadia and take advantage of everything the platform has to offer. I think this bit is the really interesting bit. Brand new incentives are coming. So new business models, business deals, business proposals are coming to help increase the amount of games and developers coming to Stadia, bringing their games to Stadia. That's the key thing there. I think, you know, exciting times. Oops. Wrong button there. Exciting times. There is... this is the official page. Let me just show you the official page here. So this is the official page. As I say, about the development team here. Concentrate on working with developers and publishers to get their games on here. So you've got the day one. It's mostly about mobile and Android game development and stuff like that. And Android games, blah, 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 blah. Great, lovely. Here, day two. Now, this is the key thing here. Now, this Karine Yap, she's one of the strategic business development heads at Stadia. I know this because she's connected to me via LinkedIn because I had business with her, ladies and gentlemen. I had business with her. No. So I did interact with Karine Yap. She used to work for THQ, representing them in the US, a Nordic company, but she represented them in the US, and I had a few business dealings with her way back, you know what, 17, 18 years ago. But she is now the strategic business development here at Stadia, and she's doing the keynote speech here. You'll learn about new offerings for all Stadia partners, working closely with our partners. Remember, that's what they said, and how the Stadia team is working to make it easier to bring games to the platform while delivering new ways to maximize the return on launching Stadia titles. That is everything we talked about. Yeah? Everything Phil Harrison said in his sort of statement on closing down Stadia Games and Entertainment about exactly what they were going to do. Working closely with their partners. She uses the word partners to bring games to the platform, to bring your games to the platform while delivering new ways to maximize the return. That's finding new incentives and stuff like that. They are absolutely doubling down, ladies and gentlemen, on focusing on getting the games on the platform. Yeah, everything in this seminar is about that. So here you've got less time porting and more certing, more time creating. Learn from the Stadia product managers about how we're making it more efficient. It's that word again, efficient, to bring games to Stadia. Bring new value to Stadia partners, brand new incentives. And then connecting with gaming creators. This is about YouTube creators and stuff like that. So again, focusing on integrating how Stadia will integrate with how you can benefit from connecting and engaging online audiences on YouTube. So again, remember, this is aimed at developers and publishers, not aimed at consumers. Now, interesting, I like to look at some of these people on LinkedIn. So this guy here, Robert Edelman, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Edelman. He's got an interesting background. Not that I'm stalking or anything. He's product at Google Stadia, innovation and mixed reality. And he's been at Stadia since November 19, working on the future of gaming and virtual worlds. Interesting. And based out of Munich in Germany. Remember, they were looking for a studio engineer in a Stadia engineer in Germany, and that job thing. So there we go. But he's an interesting PhD. Robert Alderman, PhD. Interesting background he's got. And then this, let's also check out this other person giving one of the talks, Elizabeth Grace Morant. Here, product manager at Google. She also, interestingly enough, let me just, she used to work in AR and VR. Product manager for Tilt Brush, which was a sort of a Google thing. And now from May 2019, for the last 2 years, she's been product manager for a portfolio of cloud native developer products. Yeah, so specific products that are built in the cloud to help developers, and efforts in developer gameplay quality. It's this little detail you don't get on other shows, ladies and gentlemen. Efforts in developer gameplay quality, constantly improving that. Yay, Dominic, thank you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated there. Thank you for that super chat, Dominic. Really appreciate that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Some interesting summit sessions, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting summit sessions. And again, it's all about Stadia doubling down, as I said, on exactly what they said. Working closely with partners, developers and publishers, streamlining the process, making it easier to port. Of course, it was going to be difficult to port, or it would be a steep learning curve porting to Stadia, based on the fact that they used a sort of Linux system. But they were future-proofing themselves, and now that issue is less of a barrier now, and they're working more and more on concentrating on that kind of aspect of it. It's, as I say, it's everything Phil Harrison said Stadia would be doing in his statement back in February. They're doing. Quelle surprise, said no one. Yeah. And talking of Stadia enhancements, ladies and gentlemen, Gem Bear Gaming's been at it again, ladies and gentlemen. And 9 to 5 have jumped on the story. Yes, I'm featuring 9 to 5 again. Despite my annoyance at their slightly negative headline from before. Here we go. Stadia prepares a way to sign in when playing couch co-op games. So it's not working quite yet, but Gem Bear Gaming spotted. Yay, Marcus G Knight! Thank you for the £2 super chat, much appreciated. Today, Gem Bear Gaming has spotted the Stadia couch co-op login flow is now live online. It doesn't quite function, but the idea is, at the moment, if you play couch games, you just play as like a second player. You don't play as your account. So if I'm playing on my account and my son comes along, yay, Marcus G Knight, yes. I wonder where that super chat notification was. There it is. Anyway, if you're playing and you get somebody to play co-op with you, they don't take their account with them, as it were. This is a way that you can log on, so you can play as, Lord Kensal Jr. plays Lord Kensal or whatever it is, in a co-op way. So that's really cool because we know there's so many great kind of family games and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see, but it's not quite working yet. So that's the thing to bear in mind on that. Let me just get rid of these windows I've got open. Too many windows. Let's get rid of that. But anyway, as I say, so we're seeing these extra enhancements, as you say. It's that we're getting the mantra that we've seen so many times repeated this year from Stadia about focusing on bringing the games to the platform and working closely with the developers and partners. You factor in the Madden news, the Ubisoft titles, the Stadia app enhancements, like I've just shown there, the rollout to Android TV, etc., etc. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, a few rash statements made by a few people in the heat of the moment in early February, post the Stadia Games and Entertainment closure, are looking, well, they're looking a bit just like that. Rash. Very rash, ladies and gentlemen. Everything Phil Harrison said Stadia would be doing in that statement, they are doing by actions, and words. As I say, quelle surprise, no one. Anyway, so that was the couch gaming enhancement I talked about. There were other enhancements, of course. And I'm not quite sure the purpose of this one. Again, we're going to go to 9 to 5 Google, but this article is by Kyle Bradshaw, so that is all right in my books. He didn't write the drought headline, so I will continue to use him as a source. I'm joking. I will use him as a source, but I'll also use Ben. You can now play games from Stadia's progressive web app on Android. Google Stadia is gaining a new way. Kyle, where's your negative bit? Where's the negative bit to the headline? What are you doing? That's just too general and plain. What's wrong with you? You'll never get the clicks. Well done, Kyle. Google Stadia is now gaining a new way to play from Android. Instead of using the native Flutter-based app, so that's basically the, you download the app from the Google Play Store. That was built on Flutter. You could play Stadia from a lightweight progressive web app, as they do on iOS, which is a web app, because they have to, because they've got to get around the Apple Game Store. But now you can do it on Android, apparently. So it's effectively like just playing on your Chrome browser, but on your phone. Here we are. Shout out to Original Penguin Adam. Adam! Android Stadia PWA is rolling out. Don't know why you'd need this. You can play Stadia in the app, whatever. Different people have different views about it. Presumably, if it's like playing in your Chrome browser, you could then stream direct to YouTube from it. Couldn't you? Don't know. But anyway, it's useful to know. Also, I think it may be just them trying to equal out the platform. It's much easier just to sort of have one set platform rather than one for the Chromecast, one for the phone, and one for your, through the Chrome browser. I don't know. Or it just gives them more versatility. That could be the other reason they're doing that. Anyway, so yes, I use 9 to 5 before anybody shouts out hypocrisy for me calling them out for a negative headline. But as I say, Kyle didn't use a negative headline there. Abner didn't use a negative headline. Did they, Ben? An unnecessary headline. Could do better, Ben. Anyway, that is the main... I've lost my dot there. Anyway, so that's the progressive web app. Let me know in chat, though. Let me know in chat why you think you could use it. Marcus G. Knight says, yeah, you could stream on it and you start your Chromecast to stream from it. Yeah, it's interesting. I love all these updates, etc. I don't have to pay anything. Exactly, said Nar. That's the nature of this sort of thing, isn't it? And the fact that it's all in the cloud and it's all software, it's just constant improvements, constant tweaking it, improving it, working at it all the time. That's really the cool thing about it. Google One Stage would run on the Xbox browser, web browser. For me, I touched on it right at the beginning, that I want the experience I currently have on the Chromecast with Google TV now with my video apps, yeah? With my Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. The quality is all about the same in terms of the playing back the films or whatever. They all look amazing, yeah? The ease of access is about the same. I want a scenario like that in the future, which we will have, I think, where you just go, oh, I fancy playing a bit of this. I'll play it on Stadia. Oh, Sea of Thieves, it's exclusive to Xbox. That's all right. I'll just play it on Xbox, but only if the quality is as good, you know. But I can see that a time where that is the case, and that Xbox do have an app on the smart TVs, as they say they're going to, and stuff like that. Or Luna, you know, oh, I'll play it on Luna. In the same way right now, I go, oh, I'll watch that on Netflix. Oh, I'll watch that on Amazon Prime. I'll watch that on Disney. Yeah. And the experience is effectively the same. And with the beauty of the Chromecast Ultra with Google TV is it feels like you're accessing it, you know, it's aggregating all this content. So imagine if you could aggregate all your gaming content into and have seamless access to it. That's my vision. The vision I have, ladies and gentlemen. Right, let's see if I've lost my blooming dock here. Because the other news, Google Stadia store opened, ladies and gentlemen. And we got some lovely pictures from people. Let's find the pictures. Find the pictures. Here we are. So Giselle Money. Don't know who she is, but thank you. Shout out to her. Make that big. Make that big. There we are. Let's go back to the beginning so you can see it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Stadia store opens. Look at this. A little look at the Stadia store for you there. Those egg chairs. Arnie Jacobsen egg chairs. We used to have those at Lego. Loved them. I always imagine how I could smuggle them away out the office into my home. I'd love an Arnie Jacobsen style chair. But there we are, playing on the different forms and stuff. I think Chariot Man also, it's looking good, isn't it? It's a good little display. I'm liking that. Chariot Man as well. He also... yeah, let's have a look at some of his photos. He went there. Anybody who follows Chariot Man on Twitter, thank you, Chariot Man. I'll just share some of these. And he shared some photos from the store. Bit of free golf over the weekend. And I like this specific in display setting, as it were, in store setting here. I wonder if that's what it will look like. I wonder if that's just an in-game setting. So not in-game, in-store setting you have on TVs. You have like a demo version for TVs when they're in the shop. Or whether that's what the app will look like on Wednesday. We'll have to find out, won't we? Anyway, shout out to Chariot Man Gaming for those photos and the trip to New York he did to check that all out. Very exciting. In other news as well, Chris Tales. Finally, Chris Tales gets a shout out. Is that Chris Tales? From Stadia? Yep. From our friends at Modus. Kick off your ventures. Chris Tales, finally. We knew this was coming, but now we've got a date. Chris Bell's epic journey to the very fabric of time starts July the 20th. Something to look forward to there. It's got a great animation style. A bit of sort of JRPG style game. It's from South America. I think I've forgotten now. I think they're from Brazil. I think the developers of this are. So it's got the spirit of a JRPG, but a bit of Brazilian flair. Chris Tales. I bet it's a graphic they made and add it as a background. Probably. Could be Johnny the Robot Wizard. Could be. You never know. Anyway, so Chris Tales gets its announcement. July the 20th, that one is, ladies and gentlemen, July the 20th. And another game that we knew were coming. Knew were coming. My grammar's all over the place. We knew it'd be coming soon. My lovelies is get ready for Hello Engineer, ladies and gentlemen. So we knew this, and we also think this is. Did we know this is going to be a Stadia Pro? I think it is going to be a Stadia Pro. I wouldn't be surprised because it's a first on Stadia. So this is a limited time exclusive on Stadia. Get ready for Hello Engineer. Play now, first on Stadia. It doesn't say, ever wished you could explore an abandoned amusement park. It doesn't have a date. But given it's first on Stadia, I'm wondering whether this could be a July Pro title. Let me know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. July Pro title in the offing there? Could be. Could be. Don't forget as well this week, the Olympics. Tokyo Olympics game. Tokyo Olympics 2020 is released, I think, on Wednesday. Just in time for you to play it on your Chromecast with Google TV. So they're all the major big headlines, I think. Another busy week, a crazy week. Lots of things to look forward to in July, especially with that Google Summit. I'm interested to see what, they've got to say. But as I've said before on this show, it's more of the same. A real demonstration that they're focusing on bringing the games. And we're seeing the fruits of that now. And from that summit, we will see the fruits of that in 2022. So it's all good. Let us go to the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the chat. And we'll see what's been happening in the chat here. Amnar's been stirring it up as ever. Good old Amnar. Stadia needs to learn its place already. The Google graveyard. Let's lift that up there. Let's go to the chat. Where's my chat? I just want to lift up the what's it. I'll do it later. Right. What else have we got? My opinion represents popular opinion. Yeah, exactly. I'm not. If would that it were. Would that it were. Yeah. Exactly. We love a bit of we love him really. Amnar. There we are. Let me just lift that up there. Yeah, we can put it right up there. There we go. Ooh, that's what she said. Right now, cheeky. We're stuck in our own bubble, thinking we're the only gamers in the world because the rest of the 22 countries are like, what the hell are you talking about? It's true. It's true. There's people within the countries in which Stadia have got no idea what Stadia is, let alone those that aren't in the country. Outriders was an outlier. Yeah, it was. In terms of ports, most ports have been pretty good. I think Outriders was a problematic game, and that obviously didn't help the port. I get a sense there was a bit of crunch on that. But yeah, but if you look at the big AAA games, statistically have been above average. So the majority of them have been pretty epic ports. Right back to Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, redonkulously good. Cyberpunk port, brilliant. Hitman, excellent. Little Nightmares, awesome. The Resident Evil series, incredible. Judgment, awesome. FIFA and Madden, excellent. Good ports. So generally, and they're constantly improving. So, there's been some exceptions. But the thing about Outriders, and my point I was making earlier, is it is an example of one of the big AAA titles of this year arriving day and date effectively on Stadia. And that's the key thing. It's a pattern. A pattern that we see. That's the spirit, Jerome. No one can ruin Stadia for me. Microtransactions. You're talking about the live games like a Battlefield and Fortnite and stuff. Maybe that could be some of the new, or are you talking about some of the new incentives? It shows potentially that Stadia aren't just thinking, okay, how do we make the game? How can we, what tools do we need? What help can we give to the developers and publishers to get the game on the platform in terms of technically? But they're also thinking, okay, what are some interesting business models that we can do to help incentivize the different partners? Because massive publishers will want a different kind of incentive than, say, indies. That's my TV talk. Smaller developers might want. A smaller developer may be happy with a bunch of money up front that covers their costs, gives them a little bit of profit in exchange for an exclusive. The bigger developers are going to go. The big publishers are going to go, well, we've got some of the best software engineers and game developers in the industry, and they cost a lot of money. So your advance better represent the value of the game. So, okay, sure, here's a 10 million advance for 5 games or whatever. People go, oh, that's a hell of a lot of money. Well, is it? Xbox paid $7 billion for effectively 10 plus games. You think about it, and ongoing services beyond that, obviously. But what I'm saying is, that kind of money is usually in advance, or a bit of a loss leader. It's not really that that lot of money really. But it's interesting that to me that they're thinking of different business models. That's the key thing for me. That, as I say, it's not just about the tech; it's also about the business models to make it work. Because remember, cloud gaming is a new thing. The business model is a new thing. Yep. July the 13th. Roger, thank you for that. Central Time, 6 o'clock Central Time. Nah. Well, they've got the great thing of Sony and Microsoft. They've got a massive pedigree. They don't have to catch up right now. They can let the likes of Stadia and Luna, test the market. We know Xbox are well into it now, and they're making it as the way I see it, cloud gaming will be their central pillar, and they have to transition towards that, but it will become more important to them than the consoles. The console becomes like a flagship for the game, like a car. They'll have the top of the range that the average person can't afford, all the extra, but they use that to flog the slightly less enhanced service, and I think cloud gaming for Xbox is that. Because as I said, most people, for me, transitioning from Destiny 2 on the Xbox, the old Xbox, to Destiny 2 on Stadia, chalk and cheese. The Stadia experience blew it away. So for the average gamer who has a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox, the current Stadia experience is more than enough. More than enough in terms of the tech and the fidelity. More than enough. Of course you can get a better visuals if you're playing off your PlayStation 5 and all that kind of stuff. And of course you can. But that's not the point. As long as the experience is as good as or slightly better than the generation just gone by for a new technology. And we know it'll improve. We know it will improve. Best port, Division 2, full 4K 60, says Roger. I think it was considered the best port at the time, and I still think it's one of the best ports, although it's got a lot of competition. The FIFA and the Madden ports are really good, and the Resident Evil Village is pretty good. But Division's still up there holding its own. If Outriders worked and had a crossplay, it could have been an incredible game. Yeah. I played it all the way through to the final boss. And I sort of put up with the stuttering here and there. But in the end, I have to admit, even though I supported it before the beginning, especially when you've seen what a good job other publishers and developers have done with, Judgment, Resident Evil Village, as I said. It's such a shame because it would be such a good game. They let themselves down a bit there. I tried xCloud this morning again. Well, as I've always said, until xCloud is, giving you 4K on your TV, the only comparison you make really is in the mobile phone experience, or if you're lucky enough, to get the PC, be on the beta for the PC version in the browser. They're the only comparisons. So they, Xbox have made a lot of promises, and I'm sure they'll keep those promises. But at the moment, they're talking about stuff in the future. And I forget who it was, whether it was Steve Jobs or whoever it was, who famously said, or was it Marquez Brownlee? I can't remember who it was. But anyway, he said something about you should never buy the tech based on promises. You could say that. That could have been accused, Stadia. I bought it on the basis I knew this stuff was coming. But I took that leap of faith. But he has a point. They have a point. And I think Xbox are, they're being transparent about their plans. But their announcement about, we're thinking about doing a dongle, became Xbox are doing a dongle. And, we'll probably consider doing a smart TV app, became they're doing a TV smart app. And yet Stadia's announcement, we're doing a smart TV app on Wednesday. That's the difference. That's where they are in that cloud gaming journey. But, Xbox will get things up. Car analogy is still reliable. 8 miles and off top speed for room for the golf clubs in the boot and trunk. Looser cornering, but a more comfortable ride, less torque, less safer. Yeah, safer for kids. Exactly. There you go. Yeah. But you also just can't, I'd love to have, like my favorite car, is Mini Cooper S. Okay, I have a Mini Cooper S. I love my little Mini Cooper S, even though it's caused me a lot of heartache and trouble. Yeah. I'd love what they call a John Cooper Works, which is a Mini Cooper S, and then they tweak the engine, give it slightly fatter wheels, give it got a faster acceleration, slightly more horsepower, a lot more oomph. I'd love that. And that's the sort of the benchmark. That's the sort of the stellar star of the Mini Cooper S, a Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works version, JCW version. But I can't afford that. And I'm quite happy with my Mini Cooper S. It goes. So, yeah, for the average guy or girl, whatever, we can't always afford the top dollar version. But our experience of a version of that slightly lower down is perfectly fine. Does that analogy kind of work? Not sure. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, enough of the analogies. Enough of that. That's a show, ladies and gentlemen, I think. I think that's a show. I've whiffled and waffled long enough, I think. I want to thank everybody who is in the chat today. It's popping as ever. Apologies if I didn't get to read out your chat and any of that. I'm doing a show here, I don't always get to see them. But thank you for being here. Thank you for having a wonderful, it comes with a massive ball ache pack. Yeah. Lovely, yeah. My Mini Cooper did. Jesus Christ. Anyway, enough of my Mini Cooper S problems. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on another Stadia Monday Night Chat. I really appreciate everybody who comes here live engages in the chat, has a laugh. Amnars, Olympics. Yeah, Yoshida, the Olympics is from 23rd of July. You're quite right. What I'm talking about is the game. There's a Tokyo Olympics game coming to Stadia from Sega. Yeah, Sega. And I think it arrives this week, the game to buy. That's what I was referring to, not the actual real Olympics. Unless Sonic is in the real Olympics. Sonic is, of course, meant to be. You can get the character of Sonic to do your sprints in true story in the Sega Olympics 2020 game. Anyway, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being a great audience. I hope you had a good evening. I hope you have a good evening. I hope you have a good day, and all of that. And on that wonderful note, quick cheer to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And Amnar, a little treat for you.
Idiots all.
There we are. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and goodbye.